welcome to my channel, Whiskey and Wool, and my series about knitter's life. My name is Shannon, and I am coming to you from northern New Jersey, where I work and I live and I craft. This is a series where I share a bit about my life, mostly in the form of clips, which have been just like kind of clips of me walking around the garden, or wildlife in the garden, or my cat in the garden. So welcome. Yes, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is going your way. It's a weird time in the world for everyone. The weather's weird, and it's like, do you, don't you, with the pandemic stuff. Today I made bread, and I'm making bread tomorrow too. I'm doing some sourdough, but I always forget to film it. I made some really delicious coffee bread this morning from Brian Ford's cookbook, New World Sourdough. I feel like this should be in the lifestyle portion. So anyway, I am going to start this episode the way I do most of my episodes. I shouldn't say all, because I am doing fewer, I guess, of these. But I am going to start with a whiskey chat. I have no idea what I'm going to be drinking. I have an inkling, but I will be filming it later on this evening when I am ready to sit and relax for the afternoon, evening hours. And yeah, I'll tell you where to skip to if you are not interested in seeing the whiskey chat. Hi. I hope that intro wasn't too disjointed. Hope it blended well together with my two finished objects. Hooray! I am going to do a little whiskey chat for you right now. It is quite a few hours after I did the original recording. A few things have happened, which I'll share in the editing. But today, the whiskey I am going to taste for you, I hope I can pronounce this correctly without butchering it too much. It is this one, which is Caol Ila. Caol Ila. It's an 18-year. So I am starting to run out of my Scotch whiskeys, single malts. I have a handful of other whiskeys from around different countries. I have a couple American ones. I have a Canadian one. So anyway, why am I telling you all that? It doesn't matter. I will have things to taste. It just may not always be Scotch whiskey for the rest of this year. And yeah, so I just grabbed this because I was like, okay, I'm going to finish up the Scotch whiskeys first before I move into the blends and the other countries. And because also I'll get bottles from time to time. And I'm doing gin too. I'm still on the hunt for a particular gin. Yeah. All that to say, if I had read about this distillery before I pulled this, I probably would have held on to it for a little longer. Right now, this distillery is closed. They are undergoing renovations. They, of course, whiskey goes into a cask for 10, 12, 18, 20, 25 years or more. So all of that is still happening. They're just not producing any right now. And so it means that finding some information was a little bit of a challenge, but I was able to find some stuff. The first thing that's most important for you to know is that the distillery is on the Caol Ila, it's on the west coast of Scotland, not too far from Glasgow when you're looking at a map. I don't know about travel time. It may be long. Certainly it involves a ferry, or maybe two. Let me tell you a little bit about the history. So just like many other distilleries that I have talked about, this is one that was established in the 1800s, just after the British law changed and allowed small operations to to start making whiskey, to like, this cottage industry of whiskey making. So they were established in 1846 by a man named Hector Henderson. He picked a little bay in the south of Ila for his distillery site, and he named it for the sound itself, which was Caol Ila. And it was across this sound that the little ships made their round trip to the mainland, slowly helping to establish the distillery as the biggest on Ila. It became the biggest on Ila at one point. I don't know if it still is. Let's see. So just a little bit more. It changed hands. So in 1863, that was 1846 that it was established by Hector Henderson. In 1863, a trader company named Bullock, Lade and Co. took over. And then they started to really make more blended whiskey, because the blended whiskey market was exploding in the 1870s, and they just went for it. And then it changed hands again in 1879. I guess it changed hands a couple times, but it ended up back with Bullock, Lade, and in 1920 he went bankrupt and liquidated it. So it went dark for a couple decades, and reopened in 1934, just in time to be shut down again because of World War II. So World War II created a work shortage, like a workers shortage, and also a food shortage. So whiskey's, in Scotland anyway, the chief ingredient to create whiskey is barley. So, and then it reopened again after the war, and pretty much just made whiskey, and went through an expansion in the 70s. And at some point, I don't know when, a company named, I want to say Diageo, I'm saying it wrong. They own it now, and they also own Lagavulin. They also own Hennessy, they own Guinness. They're a massive company. I think they own like 180 labels, a lot of different liquors and stuff. They're located in London. So they are a Great Britain company. So I'm not sure if they're going to make the 18-year anymore. I don't know. At least probably it could be a while. But who knows what's going to happen when they reopen. They do contribute a lot of whiskey for a blended whiskey market. And the difference between like what I taste here, the single malts, and blended is, a single malt means it was made in one distillery, and it was made from one grain, and it was made and it was matured in the same place. So they might be different casks, but side by side, they're all together, and then those casks may get combined to make a single bottling, but they all came from the same, all the ingredients came from the same source at the same time. That's a single malt. Blends mean it could be any mixture of anything. So different distilleries, different grains, different times, all of that. This distillery, it seems like, did participate, and maybe still does, in a lot of the blended whiskeys that are on the market, particularly because they're owned by this huge company. Okay, so let me talk about. So we know all of that. I was not able to find, I may find it when I read the tasting notes, but I don't want to read the tasting notes until I get a taste of it myself. But I don't know what oak or what type of barrel that they use. It's probably American oak, because most distilleries use American oak that was used with sherry. So let me taste it. I've been babbling along for quite a while here. Here is what it looks like in my tasting dram. Just a nice pale golden color, very, very sort of washed out. Oh my gosh, wow. So Ila, I've talked about Ila whiskeys before. Of course, I've tasted Lagavulin and Laphroaig and a few others that are on that island. They're usually known for being smoky, and that you get a big whiff of smoke, and there's something saline or salty about the smell as well. I smell also honey, but just overwhelming smoke. Can't wait to taste it. Wow. Ooh. So I can't wait to read what this says, because this is reminding me of a whiskey that I tasted with my brother-in-law, who immediately said car upholstery was a taste in there. And it kind of reminds me of that. There's green fruit in there, maybe grass even, or heather. Yeah, and there's a slight fruity taste in the back when you're swallowing. I don't taste anything like chocolate or anything like that. Okay, wait, I have to read about this. This is super unique. This is a different one, different type than what I've been tasting lately. So some of them, a lot of them can sound the same. Okay, let me see what this website says. I didn't find anything on their own website about their 18 years, so I'm just going to read what a couple experts say. This says, creamy, smooth, dense single malt that lingers, that would be lingers, on the palate with a savory sweetness and pronounced notes of fresh picked herbs. So that grassy, green fruit, herbal. Okay, that's about other ones. Okay. Crystal clear gold antique color. Nose, highly aromatic, fresh cut grass, malt, fresh cooking herbs, and the sea. Flavor, full round with more grass grains, wet oak, turbinado sugar, and charred peat. So there's that smokiness. Oh, so it's like an oily, the finish is long, thick, and oiled wood, soft smoke, and autumn rain. So it's like this website is saying heavy smoke and peat up front. Then phenols, which I think gives you sort of that like musky, like a musky taste, which can come across as that upholstery taste that I was talking about, which sounds so gross, but it's kind of interesting, if that makes sense. Okay, this one says the palate is bold, but the arrival still holds back on the smoke for the time being. It is syrupy and delivers salted caramel, lemon and lime, brined seafood. I definitely taste like this. There's the taste of the sea in this, and rocky minerals. The mid to back palate is where the peat is contained, and it also offers brine, smoked fish, tar, and antiseptic. But it's worth noting that all of these have been softened by the duration of maturation. So the fruit elements still have plenty of room to express themselves. Water will bring out more of citrus tastes. Okay, so I didn't tell you what I did to the pour, but after I poured from the little wee dram or wee bottle into my tasting dram, I did put a couple sprinkles of water, which always helps open up the taste. And they say their finish is sappy oak, tea, and pepper. Interesting. I hope you're enjoying a glass of something that you like and you are enjoying whatever it is, whether it's whiskey or tea or coffee or juice or soda, whatever your drink of choice is. I hope you're enjoying it today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of my episode. I'll see you next time. It's been a little while since I have shared my button box, so I thought I'd just share it today because I am working on buttons for the Stonecrop cardigan, which is completely finished. Hooray! So yeah, the story of this is my mom got me the box full of antique, this William Penn cigar box. I have no idea how old it is. but it was full of vintage buttons. It's got to be pretty old, right? So it was full of vintage buttons when she bought it. Most of them were black buttons, and there were a whole bunch of pearl buttons, like shell buttons, so made out of actual shell. So they're quite old. There were any plastic buttons that are in here, like these, are ones that I've added. So I would guess that this dates back, at least the buttons date back to around early 1900s, maybe even earlier, because there are no synthetic buttons in here at all. So yeah, so I just thought I would share that with you. Right now I'm going to look for some buttons that'll work on this sweater. I need 9. So I don't think, though these are really cool. These are a lot of the vintage buttons. A lot of them were so dirty, I had to clean them. So I soaked some, and I actually have some that I have yet to clean up. I got the box, as I said, my mother got it for me at a garage sale. I think I said that when I was in college, or right around that. Maybe I was a junior or a senior in college, so it was like the 80s, the mid 80s or so. But yeah, anyway, these are a lot of random buttons. I don't think I'm gonna find 9. I might find more than 1, but not 9. These are so cool. Lots of shell buttons and lots of black buttons. This is the bag of all of the white pearl buttons, mother of pearl and shell buttons that I've cleaned. Just a lot of random buttons and bits. I think what happened was that the person who had this box, it was during the time when people cut. Ooh, these might be good. These are newer ones that I've added, but these could be good. There's definitely 9 in there. It was at a time when people cut buttons off of garments that were going to be recycled. So everything was recycled. Buttons were, ooh, these are also good. These are kind of big though. We'll see. Also those I've added. Ooh, this is better. These are the lighter ones, some lighter versions of these. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so people cut buttons off and saved everything, like, because things were going to be recycled. These are some really awesome black buttons that are made. I don't even know how they're made, but they have like a stamp on them. I think you can see it pretty well through the plastic. Sorry, I would take them out of the plastic, except that one hand is holding the camera. There were quite a few brass buttons as well. Those are going to be too big. And these are a lot of random metal buttons. I've kind of sorted through. They weren't very well sorted. Yeah, those are too fancy. These are fancy too. Yeah, lots of random jet buttons made out of glass or early, whatever was the precursor to plastic. It's pretty cool. I am so appreciative. Because I've had this button collection about 40 years, and yeah, I'm so appreciative that I have it. I have been able to really use, and just looking at them, looking at the different buttons in, I love these. I have added some vintage buttons. I think these were ones I've added because I used to have to go to Tender Buttons in New York City for one of my jobs. So I would go and shop and pick up buttons for myself from time to time. Yeah. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Oh my gosh, look at all these rhinestone ones. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm gonna end this and show you what I end up picking. Okay, I am going with these, only I'm gonna use them on the reverse side because they are darker, and I think that works better with the overall look of this sweater. they're a little big to me, but I really think these are too small. I probably need something in between the size. So these will do. I don't mind them dark. I think they were too vivid when they were bright and open. So I think they'll be all right. You might have noticed I have two finished objects this week. I couldn't decide which one to wear for you, so I just decided to wear both of them on and off. So let me start with, actually, let me start with the other one, the one I'm not wearing. And I'm not going to be able to keep this on very long because it's quite a warm day here in New Jersey. Yeah, so this is the Stonecrop cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and it is the second one I have made. Yeah, it's came out pretty good. This one, I made it a little bit bigger. I think I sized up in the pattern than the first one that I made. I accidentally made the sleeves a little too long. I guess I wasn't clear on how much the fabric was going to grow. So as I was knitting it, it seemed fine, but then after I blocked it, the sleeves grew a bit. The beautiful yarn you're seeing here is Ranch 03 from Brooklyn Tweed. And the story with their ranch series, they have Ranch 101, 02, and 03. They come out with a new ranch yarn every year. This year's is a sport weight. The last two I think were worsted weight. But it's something that they can trace everything about. So they have bought the wool directly from the farmer, and then they have it cleaned and spun and dyed all in the US. So it actually says that on the label. The colorway that I chose is Pluot. I don't think I've shown this to you before, but there's like this really cool, there's all this information on the label that tells you about where you can see where the yarn was cleaned. It was cleaned in Jamestown, South Carolina. It was dyed in Rutherfordton, North Carolina, and it was spun in Springvale, Maine. The ranch that it came from is Eagle County, Colorado. So, yeah, it's a really gorgeous yarn. I may look for an opportunity to purchase another sweater's quantity of it. As I said, the color is Pluot, so it's this lovely deep plum color. I really like it. I needed 8 skeins, if you're curious. This was the 8th skein. I used a little bit of it, so not a whole lot, maybe like a tenth of it. So 8 was enough for this sweater, this project. The other yarn you're seeing is, of course, Spincycle, the beautiful, magical, color-changing Spincycle yarn. Yeah, and what else can I tell you about it? I like to, when I steek a cardigan, I like to add in some fabric ribbon trim just to add stability to that area. And I just stitch it in by hand, so you could probably see my little hand stitches on either side there. I probably should have chosen a wider ribbon, but this one was just so pretty. I really liked the way it looked. You really don't see it when the sweater's on, because these lay pretty flat. What else? Oh, I did this on my first one too. I'm gonna just button the neck. I did do one mod where I did a provisional cast on for the neck instead of casting right on for the neckband. And then what I did, I knit the 1x1 for 4 rows, and then the entire back part, for 1 row, I knit 2 together instead of knit 1 per 1. So the front neck, I did 1x1, but then the back neck, I did this. Like you can see where I changed. You can see where I changed right there. Right there. Just to bring the neck in, because the neckline, and I think this is something that is common in a lot of Andrea Mowry's patterns, she well, this one she gave you an option of what kind of neckline, but she made like kind of boaty, like a wider shoulder neckline, like wide, further off on your shoulder, which I don't really like. For a cardigan, especially that's woolly and going to be meant to be cozy and warm. So that worked for me. This is actually very similar to what she did on the throwover cardigan that came out like 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, I just kind of winged it on that, and it worked just fine. The other mod I made was I did Japanese baubles on my for the baubles. So Japanese baubles, you use only your knitting needle. You don't need a crochet hook, because a crochet hook, stopping to pick up a new tool to do something every 5 stitches just is not my thing. So using the knitting needles, I was able to just like keep going. I felt like at a faster pace. It does make smaller baubles, but I like smaller baubles. I don't really like big old knobby baubles. I'm a child of the 70s, and baubles were huge in the 70s, and I had enough of them. I associate baubles with children's clothes, so don't really want them on my clothes. But this was nice because it added a nice amount of texture without, so you have a little bit of a bubble, but you don't have those like things that look like they're just a big chunk of wool dangling from your sweater. So yeah, super fun. Very satisfying knit, and very satisfying to knit it for the second time because I knew what to expect and all of that. It took me longer than I thought. It took 4 months total for me to finish this, only because I was distracted with other things and I was working on other things. I always like to have many projects on the needles and to work on, and you know, when I have a day or several hours where I'm crafting, I will quite literally knit on every single one of them, just because I get tired or bored of whatever I'm working on, and I'll put it down and pick up something else. And other ones some projects have certain purposes for me as well. So some are more like, this is something that I would not be able to do if I was watching a show with subtitles, because it would require too much concentration, both counting and also watching which color I was working with. So, I mean, there are some rest rows where you're not doing any color work at all. You're just knitting in the solid color. But nevertheless, like some of the other, like this is a knit that I can very easily do. Good for social, like for socializing, and also good for watching films or shows or anything, doing anything where I need to pay attention. So yeah, that is the Stonecrop cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and yeah, I'm happy to have that done off my needles. A couple of you asked, so I want to just point out, I didn't bother doing any, these are my 2 sleeves, I didn't bother doing matching sleeves. I just let the yarn do whatever it was doing, and it turned out, this one turned out very blue and this one's very dark gold, but they both have elements that are in the body. So there is some pale blue going on right here. It doesn't look so blue here, but it is pale blue, and there's some green blue up there. And yeah, so it's all good. There's definitely that same gold there. I don't mind. I actually think it's kind of cool. It's makes it easy for me to know what sleeve I'm grabbing when I'm picking it up. So yeah, I think I will be wearing that quite a lot when it gets a little bit cooler here. Cardigan pieces are great layering pieces for this area, for the climate here. It's something that I can wear almost all year round, like probably about 10 months out of the year. So drinking a very watery seltzer with a little splash of OJ, but it's been sitting there for a while. The ice cubes are almost melted. Okay, so this project, yay, this is the center point popover, center point popover by Andrea whose last name is super long. I'm gonna put it on screen. You can get the pattern. The pattern was designed for Purl Soho. It was designed for the linen quill worsted weight yarn, which I think it would be fabulous in. I used my own hand spun. This is a project that I've been working on for about a month, maybe 5 weeks. I have talked about it here before, and it is finally finished. And oh my gosh, I love it. Look at this hood. This hood is like so dramatic. It is so cute. And the way that mine came out with like this rainbow, it just totally reminds me of my high school years where we would like hang out on the beach and watch the boys surf. And I mean, there were girl surfers too at that time, but I was watching the boys. And there were these like hoodie things that were made in sort of these like not like sort of a geometric pattern, but they were pretty colorful garments that we would wear like over our bathing suits, and the guys would wear too. And you know, so you have your bathing suit, one of these, and some flip flops, and you were good for the beach. Like you know, we drove home in our bathing suits and our wet bathing suits covered in sand all the time. I grew up in LA. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, what culture I'm talking about. So I grew up in LA. Yeah, and so beach weather was April to October. So yeah, this totally reminds me of something of that period. This handspun is a worsted weight. It is, I talked all about how I made it. I just love the color changing effect that it has. And yeah, it is everything I hoped it would be. I am so pleased with this garment, and it is really warm. So I may not make it in it. The back, let me show you so I can cool down. Okay. That's better. Okay, so the back, the construction of this garment is really, really interesting. You knit around in a circle, making like a box. You can kind of see the way that the yarn color pattern went. You can kind of imagine the way that this is knit. And then at some point you join that box in the front or in the back with the box in the front, and then you're knitting the whole thing front and back. And then finally you split for sleeves and knit the sleeves as well. So yeah, really, really love it. I recommend it. Recommend the pattern. I did do some mods. I did raise the sleeve. So I raised where the sleeve begins, because I didn't want like a too draggy of an armhole. I just didn't want that feeling. I thought I was going to make it longer, but I think I made it exactly the length that it was intended. And it really grew in the blocking, like this part, because you're doing a 2x2, you're doing reverse stockinette with stockinette, like alternating. That's what you're seeing in the ridges. Yeah, great. So happy with it. Really, really love it. Really love it. Okay. Just got so hot all of a sudden. A blast of heat. Martha is wearing Stripes by Andrea Mowry, and I have cast off the body. She has multiple options written in the pattern. You can do a crop version, a regular length version. You can do long sleeves or 3/4 sleeves. I did the regular length version, and I am doing long sleeves. She also has two different necklines, so a more closed crew neck or a more open crew neck. I did the more closed crew neck. I struggled quite a bit with the colors, the color choices, which I talked about, I think, in episode 10. If you're curious how I arrived at these colors, you could go back. I shared a lot of my struggles here on my channel, but I love this. This has been like, as soon as those two things were off the needles, this was really taking a lot of my attention and concentration to, you know, like my knitting time. I was just spending a lot of time working on it, and now I'm really close. So those sleeves will get knit very quickly, very quickly. Yeah, I really, really love it. The yarn is, I'll just show you one skein up close. It is Aimée Cashmerino. In the colorway, this is Air Guitar. The yellow is Aimée Yellow. The pink is Pinku. The peach is Ichigo, which is an anime character who has bright orange hair. I know that because I have boys who like anime. As soon as I saw the name, I was like, Ichigo. The turquoise is called Vespa Graffiti. She also has just Vespa. Graffiti has a little bit of speckle in it, some tone-on-tone speckle. And the green is called Lush. So, yeah, gorgeous. I'm enjoying this so, so much. And it is like everything I want in terms of color right now. So really, really fun, happy, nice to make kind of project. Exactly what I want. Oh, and I'm wearing, I've worn this t-shirt many times on this channel before. This is Knitting is Metal Death Tarot, and it's death knitting. Such a great design. So Knitting is Metal does sell t-shirts on and off. This t-shirt I've seen recently, probably in the last couple months. And she has other ones. I have the Three of Swords as well. And I think she's made a couple of different styles of t-shirts and stuff. So cool graphic designer. Yeah. So more projects. I have made a little progress on my socks. I have not quite finished this sock. I'm so close though. I think I have another inch to do on the leg. I am doing my third pair of Andrea Mowry's Everyday Socks, so DRK Everyday Sock. And I have been lately, the last couple months, pretty interested and excited about knitting socks that are made out of my own hand spun. So this is this is my third pair that I've made using my hand spun. I really, really love this. This was from a bat that I got from Stitch Together Studio. And I just love the colors. It had, the bat came with mohair. You're going to see, I'm going to show you another bat from her that was in the same series. She did a series of 8 bats over the course of a year. I don't think she quite made it all the way to the end of the year. So this was from, each one was based on pagan holidays. So this was a pagan holiday called Imbolc. And I think that's in the springtime, I'm not sure. But it was a primarily black bat with turquoise, like this turquoisey green mohair locks, and then these this like bronzy color here, bronze colored locks as well. So as I spun the bat, I just worked in the locks of mohair from time to time. Has a little bit of sparkle. These are going to be so cozy. Yeah, very excited. But I'm just working slowly on them. I walk around. I mean, this is sort of my on-the-go project, so it comes to work with me. I can walk and knit with it pretty much. It's just 2x2 rib, and as I said, I think I only have about 1 more inch, and then I will need to cast on the second one. So hopefully next time you see this, I have 2 and that are done or nearly done. I've been doing it for the Drea Renee Adorn Yourself Cal, but I really haven't participated in it much. I haven't posted very many pictures on Instagram or anything. I have been spending a lot of time spinning because it was Tour de Fleece, and so I will have quite a bit of spinning to show you in a bit. Just gonna plow through my projects though. I have put a few rows, maybe put an inch or so on this project, which is a pattern by Jessie Made. Shoot, sorry, my stuff is dropping. It's called the Open Edge Tee. It is one that she just recently came out with, like I would say maybe like a month or 6 weeks ago. It is meant to be a crop tee, and it has this like cool open edge detail, and it's a V-neck with that same detail. I normally don't make crops, but I think I'm gonna try making this cropped like maybe so that it's from shoulder to bottom like 18 or 19 inches. So I don't know what this one is. I would say this one's probably 23, 24. So it would be like 5 inches shorter. So like to here. I've sort of gotten interested and a little tiny bit obsessed with this idea of crop tops with a high-waisted pant or skirt. So I realized that I had a couple high-waisted pants in my closet, and I didn't really know how to wear them. I got them a couple years ago because I just was kind of interested in that it's like a baggy, loose pant with a high waist, so it fits on your waist, and then you wear like a shorter top with it. So I thought this might be, I mean, since I'm knitting it and it's meant to be a crop top, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just embrace that and see how it goes. So I'm inspired by Aimée of the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast as well. She has been doing the same type of thing, like a high waist with a crop top. She's been making a lot of them, like mostly sewing. And she said like it kind of changes the way her body looks because of the proportional changes. And so I was like messing around. I actually have a crop top, a crop sweater that I made in the 90s, because this is like drawing on that crop top look was very popular in the 90s, although we didn't pair them with high waist. We paired them with like hip waist. So there was like a lot of midriff showing. That was when muffin tops were a thing. I think that term muffin top entered the lexicon then. Yeah, so I have a sweater, a crop sweater from those days from the 90s that I made. And so I tried it on with these high-waisted pants I have, and I was like, wow, I understand what Amy's talking about now. So I really felt like, it's a look that I think I can do. So I'm going to try it. I can always go back and add if I need to. I'm neglecting to tell you about the yarn. The yarn is a silk linen blend by Yarn Love Yarn. And it is in the colorway Living Coral. I bought it last year. It is a yarn that I bought around like April of 2020, and I thought that I was going to make something for summer at that point. But summer knits, like wearing knits in summer, I wear cardigans in the office because my office is always cold in the afternoon. It's sort of hot in the morning, but then for some reason it gets a little chilly in the afternoons. So I don't really wear a lot of knit like pullovers. But I'll wear this in the fall. This is a good color for fall. It'll pair really well with, colors like this. Here, there you go. Yeah, so that is that. That's the update on that. So this will get a little more attention after this gets off my needles, because it's just straight knitting until I get to the place where I split. It's a bottom up knit, so you split for the front and back. And then the sleeves I think are really short, so it should be pretty fast. Okay, I have 2 new projects to share with you. They both frustrated me for different reasons this past week. And one of them, I actually filmed a little bit of a rant about them. And I wasn't gonna, I'm not gonna show it to you. I'm not gonna show you the rant. I'm gonna just talk to you about them here. I do have there, when I get to the second one, I may show you some clips, but without me talking. I may just overlay some clips so that you see them. But yeah, so I have a new knit cast on. This is, yeah, this is a hairy sweater. It is Spots. It's called Spots by Anne Benzel. Um, the interesting thing about this, so Anne Benzel's patterns, very few of them are available on Ravelry. Almost all of them are. So most designers will kind of put patterns everywhere so that they're accessible, whichever way their customer wants it. So most designers sell them on Ravelry, and then sometimes some designers sell their patterns on Etsy too. And if they have a website, also on the website. But Anne does not. She only sells them on her website. And I realized, like, in the process of I didn't get too far on it. And there's a reason, because I got frustrated. And so I just put it down and knit on other things, because I was just feeling really frustrated with the pattern. So, I mean, I know not everyone can use Ravelry, and I feel terrible for people that can't use Ravelry, but um, the the thing about social media sites where people are talking about their experiences knitting or working on a pattern, you benefit from reading what other people said about the pattern. And this was a case where I really wished, if anything, like, okay, even if she didn't sell the pattern on Ravelry, I wish that it was at least linked there, and that people could talk about the pattern, because there were quite a few mistakes in it. And I was really discouraged in working on it, because I just thought, how many more mistakes am I going to come up with? Like, how many more times am I going to have to figure out what the heck she's talking about here? And I think there's a couple reasons for why there were some very definite errors in the pattern. But then there were some other ones where I just think she's using a term in a different way that I'm not understanding. Maybe because I'm a knitter from the US and she's a designer from, I don't remember which Scandinavian country, but it might be Denmark. That might be why, or it could just be she's a continental knitter and I'm an English knitter, English style knitter. So maybe that might be why. But there was some things that she was telling us to do that I was just like, I don't know what she means. And it's not working. Like, it just wasn't working for me. So once I figured out what did work, all is well. And I did modify, did a provisional cast on, so I could come back and pick up the collar. She has you just cast on, no provisional, and just knit your sweater, and then come back and pick up stitches. But this is easier. It's easier to pick up stitches if you have the loops already sitting there ready to be picked up. So I will come back and do that. The construction of this is a raglan sleeve sweater all over pattern, and it's a very simple pattern. As you can see, it's just this like sort of triangular shape that you do. It was really weird. I never did short row shaping this way, so you can see my cast on didn't go all the way around. So yeah, it's right here. This is where it ends. So you knit the back, and you're slowly increasing here to create the front, like create this like shoulder line in the front. So I think, yeah, that's your entire sleeve right here. So this from here to here, from between the two gray threads, that's the front neck. I thought that was really weird, but I guess it works or I guess it's necessary to do because of the way the pattern is laying on the sweater. So this keeps the color work very straight on the sleeves and very straight on the front. So they all are kind of like angling properly, I suppose. It's fine though. Like, it was a little weird. I was really wishing that I could go onto someone's blog or go read about someone else's experience so that at least I knew I was on the right track. So there was like a while as I was knitting it, a couple hours of knitting where I just wasn't sure what I was doing and if I was doing it right and if it was going to work out. But I'm at the point now in it where I've made notes and stuff on my Ravelry page telling me what I need to do for when she says this, do that kind of thing, because I wasn't really clear initially. So, but I mean, I think it's going to be a really beautiful, I love the images. So you can really see a lot of it on Instagram, on her Instagram page. She's done several versions. She did a scrappy version where she used one color for the background and then just used different dribs and drabs of colors. It is written for fingering weight. I am using sport weight. So that changed it up a bit too. So I'm making a very small size in order to get my size because of the sport weight yarn that I'm using. So I'm using this one right here. This is Camilla Fiber Company. And a strand of this with a strand of mohair silk, also from Camilla. Yeah, so this is my main color. This is just, I think, 100% merino superwash. I don't have the tags for some weird reason, but yeah, 100% superwash merino. The usual mohair silk. This is the colorway Clay Dust, which she doesn't make all the time. She made it in the spring, and I bought a sweater's quantity, and I didn't know what I was going to make. I just bought it to have. The contrast color is my own hand spun. This is it's probably like a Sport to DK. It's a little heavy, but it matches well with the mohair and sport weight, me holding a strand of each of those together. I had spun a sweater's quantity. This was the first sweater's quantity that I spun, actually. So I spun this 2 years ago in 2019. It is 100% Corriedale, and it is from fiber that I bought from Countess Ablaze. She's a UK dyer. And yeah, I spun a sweater's quantity, and it turned out that I was learning, so it's a little bit stiff and boardy. Meaning like I probably overspun it a little bit, but I figured it would be a really beautiful match. I love the way these two colors are playing together. I think they look so good. I am super excited for these blue sections that are coming up, these like turquoisey blue sections. I think they're going to be pretty interesting. But yeah. This other project. Okay. So, oh goodness gracious, this is a crochet project. So I had said to you when I was crocheting the Ziggy Interrupted that I had a couple other crochet patterns that I was interested in doing, and this is one of them. So this is a very bulky crochet. The camera doesn't know what to do with these bright colors and these bright colors. This is the back. This is from Meeps, MYPZ. They're a Netherlands-based company. And she makes a lot of yarn, and she also does a lot of patterns, and her patterns come with a lot of kits. All her patterns you can either buy the finished sweater, you can buy the kit, or you can buy the pattern and use your own yarn or use her yarn. But that's the name of the company. This is the yarn that I'm using. You crochet with two colors, two strands held together. I have made the back. I've made both sleeves. I also filmed a rant about this pattern. This pattern really frustrated me, mostly because I loved the picture I loved the way the picture looked on the Meeps website of this pattern. And in looking at the picture, she said, when I bought the pattern, in the pattern instructions or in the kit, I bought a whole kit, so I didn't have to worry about picking colors. And I thought the kit I was buying was going to give me exactly what I was seeing in the picture, but that's not the case. I think the picture has a lot of pink in it. And I only got one ball of pink. And I could see after doing my first sleeve, which was this one, which I put a lot of pink in it because I was like, yeah, I want a lot of pink. So after I did my first sleeve, I was like, wow, I'm going to run out of pink. And she does give you, in the pattern instructions, she does tell you which two strands to hold together for how long and when to switch. She strongly encourages you to break color in the middle of the row. So you can see it right here, that I broke the color in the middle of the row. Oh, sorry, right here. You can see it right here. It actually looks like it's there too, but it's not. It's over here. So you can see where I broke the color in the middle of the row. She says, like, do that. It makes a really cool effect and blah, 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 blah. But after I crocheted about, and this is very fast, like this sleeve probably took me about 40 minutes or so. It really didn't take long at all, maybe an hour tops. I followed what she said I should do to about here. And then I stopped. I stopped to look at the pattern because I was just like, I don't think I'm making what I'm seeing in the picture. And so I tried to like look at each sleeve and match what I was doing in this, like following the instructions with how it looked, and it wasn't the same. There's no way it's the same. It just is not. And so that kind of took me aback. And then I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I mean, it looked to me in that, looking at the picture, and I probably like keep popping the picture on because I keep talking about it. It looked to me like there was a lot of green in that too. And there's no green in this kit. I realized that if I just, and I also realized like the picture did not have green. Instead, what they did was they mixed yellow with the blue greens or the mint green to create, so you could see it here better. This is with the mint to create a green. So that I was like, okay, this is fine. But then what happened, then I got to a point where I was working on the back and I was like mixing the colors, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, I got to like here where this green is. And I think I did a couple of these purple sections. So I did like this much. And then I was looking at the colors and I was like, I can't create any more colors. So all I can do is just mix up how the colors that I already have are working. And that was kind of a bummer. Like and I realized like this is the biggest piece that you're going to make with this piece. But yeah, I don't know. I got a little frustrated with the color options that were given to us in the yarns. Like I just felt like the yarns could have been a little more diverse, and I really wished I had the option of having more bright colors, because all in there's just these three bright colors. There's a whole bunch of pastels, blue, pink, green, and then there's these three dark colors where I probably could have only had, one would have been enough because you end up creating the same effect no matter which one you use. So I didn't need three of these. One, maybe two would have been fine. And then the other thing was she gave us two colors that are so similar. In the knitting, they look exactly the same. Look at them. I would have rather had two pinks. Like I wish this really like, so this is this is the third or fourth kit that I've bought. It's the second one. This was a kit too, and I had a bad experience with it. And I'm having a bad experience with the colors here. So this really made me, this is going to give me pause about buying kits for other sweaters, just because, yeah, if I'm going to be unhappy with what I got and the results, why, I'm not going to buy a kit. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's fine. I mean, it's going to be fine. It's the overall effect is fine. It's not, I wish I could do more pink than there is, because I just don't have enough to do more. Right now, next I'll do, and I'm holding this way because this is the way that this sits. The next thing to do is the two fronts and then the hood, and there's pockets. And then stitch it together. So it should be done by the next time I see you. Ah, yeah, fun. Fun, fun, fun. I just finished plying this this yarn. What I did, I spun in a different way than I normally do. I usually do a short forward draw and do 2, 3, or 4 ply. But I wanted to practice long draw, specifically long continuous draw. That usually makes a much more fluffy yarn than short forward draw does, a more lofty yarn with more air in the fiber and stuff. So yeah, so I practiced that using this really textured bat from Alex Creates. It is called Unicorn Farts. That's the color name. I don't know which of these fibers are in there. I think he was meant to check off the boxes that of the fibers, but I know it was basically merino, some sort of silky fiber, so either bamboo silk, soy silk, or banana silk, and definitely some Angelina or Firestar, some sparkle, and some little cotton neps are in there as well, which you can see like right there. And the green is the silky or nylon fiber, I'm not sure which. And then the overwhelming fleece that's in this skein is this white fleece that has a lot of lanolin in it. He must have worked with some raw fleece and then didn't completely wash out all the lanolin. It was really, really white, so I'm sure it was in the natural sheep color. You can see some of the sparkle right there. The purple fleece that's in here was definitely more akin to fleece that I normally spin. Like, it had been cleaned very well and probably commercial combed top, but as you can see, there's a lot of this white. I thought it would be fun to do a before and after of cleaning it. So this is just off the nitty naughty, because I think what'll happen is that some of these chunks of the lanolin filled fleece will soften and, you know, look even more fluffy. So I think the yarn will get even more lofty in the soak, from the soak. Yeah, so, okay, so this is the Alex Creates. Let me unwind it, unfurl it. This is it completely washed. I think it really softened and poofed. Like, I think all that lanolin, like getting all that lanolin out, smells like the soak I used, just made the fiber just relax and like how hair gets in humidity. But it's really, really pretty. It was so fun to practice continuous long draw. If you're a spinner, or if you're not a spinner, like my typical way to spin is short forward draw, because that gives you the smoothest yarn. And you can really get, like in doing short forward draw, you can get a pretty thin yarn, because the yarn I like to knit with is fingering weight mostly. Like, so my default is fingering weight yarn. If I am looking at a whole bunch of yarn choices and I don't know what to buy, or I don't have a project in mind, I'm gonna buy fingering weight, because that's what I like to wear. It's what I like to wear more than I like to knit that weight. Of course, who doesn't like knitting bulky projects? They go so fast, but I don't like to wear bulky knit projects, so I don't knit bulky weight projects, generally speaking. Aside from like occasional accessories or things, that maybe I'm giving as a gift. So yeah, this is actually pretty cool fiber, because this is the very first fiber bat I bought. Alex, from Alex Creates. He is a ceramicist. He is a fiber artist. He has won the Rhinebeck spinning competition. I don't know how many years going. He has won the knitting or the crochet competition too. I don't know if he's won every year, but spinning in particular, he's very fast spinner. And he's young. He's such a young guy. He's like maybe 22 or so. But he was teaching a spinning class a couple years ago, and he's the one that I learned how to spin from. And at the spinning class, it was a farm day at Green Goat Ranch. Hi, Sarah, if you're watching. I love Green Goat Ranch. Green Goat Ranch is a mohair goat ranch that's not too far from me. It's about an hour away down on the Jersey Shore. And yeah, so Alex was teaching a spin class, so I took spinning. I learned how to spin from Alex, and bought some fiber, and I got some fiber from Sarah as well at the farm day, and saw the goats and stuff, and it was so fun. So I finally got around to spinning it. It was on my list for Tour de Fleece to get this bat spun. I was afraid to spin it at first when I first got it, because I was a new spinner and I wanted to do it justice. So I'm super pleased with the way it came out. It is so amazing. I have no idea what to make. But I didn't stop there. I had such a great time spinning doing long continuous draw. So long draw makes a fluffier, fuller yarn, and it just long draw in general. There's several different styles of long draw. This was long continuous draw, which means when you're drafting, so one hand is holding the fiber, and then the other one is sort of controlling the twist. And I think I spin like a lefty spins. So I think if you're righty, usually you're holding the fiber in your right hand and controlling the twist with your left. I do it the reverse. Even when I'm doing short draw, I use my right hand, and my fiber hand is my left. So anyway, continuous long draw is you're holding this fiber, and then you're pulling, and then going like this, all back behind your body, and then you're feeding everything up to the orifice of the spinning wheel, and then you do it again. So you're just like pulling and sliding, pull, slide, and then feed, pull, slide, pull, slide. I'm going to continue practicing long draw with this color from Stitch Together Studio. From 2019, I've had this bat for quite a while. I think it's about 3 ounces, so we'll see. It is a primarily black bat with purple. She also included some mohair locks in it, and extra mohair locks to spin along with it. So this is like the type of fiber prep that's great for a long draw. It's really designed for these more fluffy, floofy skeins of yarn. So yeah, this is going to be my next spin. Spun this is from Stitch Together Studio. It is a mostly merino bat with some locks of mohair in it, those purple. Let me unfurl it so you can see the fiber. Those like dark purple bits are mohair locks that she included in the fiber bat, and there is some sparkle in there and some wool neps, which I absolutely can't stand. They're great. They're awesome texture, but I hate spinning them because they just go everywhere. They go everywhere. They go everywhere when you're spinning, everywhere when you're soaking it, everywhere when you're winding it, and everywhere when you're knitting it. So, yeah, I tried to incorporate them when I first started to spin, but it's really difficult. So, yeah, this is also another one. I don't know what to make. So, I was hoping you'd help me and yeah, and help me figure out what to make with these. What are your thoughts? Like what do I do? I mean, they actually kind of go together because this has got a lot of purple and green, and this has purple in it as well, kind of like yin yang. Um, and I have a surprise for you. I thought it would be fun to reward you for your labor of telling me what you think I should make. So I always welcome comments. I love the back and forth that we have going on, me and you, my viewers, you. I enjoy comments quite a lot. But I would like to reward one or maybe two of you with some handspun. So I have these older handspun yarn from Cool Little Bats. I have this red one with a lot of turquoise, and I have this green one with a lot of turquoise. And then I'm pairing with them these little Rolog spun 2-plies. So this is going with that one, and this is going with these. These are the ones that I got from Sarah when I first learned how to spin. Here's what you have to do to win win the giveaway. In the comments below, you're welcome to comment anything you like. But if you want to win the yarn in this giveaway I'm doing, I need you to tell me what your idea is, what you would make with, a more bulky, highly textured yarn. What would you make with it? And then, that's it. Just tell me what you would make with it. And for all the comments that I see where you're telling me what you would like, what you would make with that yarn, or what you suggest I make with that yarn, I will take all of those and do a random draw and give you either the red or the green. Please also tell me in your comment besides which one you would prefer. Would you like red or would you like green? And I will, I'll post these in the mail. So please let me know by the next time I record, so that would be doing this very impromptu. So just bear with me. The 7th. Okay. So actually by August 6th, tell me by August 6th. So I will close entries that day. So if you're watching this a week from now, you can participate and let me know what it is you're interested in, which one you're interested in. These are pretty interesting. So just this quick story of these two. These are from Classy Squid Fiber Company. These little batlings that she used to sell. I don't know I haven't seen her lately. I know she had a hard time at the beginning of the pandemic and she stopped working for a little while, but I don't know what's up. I think she's back to work again. I don't know if she still makes these, but they have like everything in the kitchen sink in them in terms of fiber, but they were just really fun spins, and they were small, just a couple ounces. So it made it really, really fun for me to, just practice spinning with them. And these are really, really awesome skeins. I've been holding on to them because I thought I would do something with them, but I also thought, in the spirit of like sharing, I thought it would be fun to share these with you all as well, with some of my viewers that come back time and time again. So so let me know. That's the giveaway, and I'll be posting on Instagram about it as well to remind you, help you remember, and I'll have details down in the description box too, so you can see what the heck I'm talking about if I didn't make sense just now, because I feel like I didn't quite make sense, but maybe I did. Okay, one last thing. I did do some other spinning. And I went back to my short forward draw for these. And this is like, oh my God, this is the sheepy brown marl yarn of my dreams. I just love this so much. I don't know if you can see it, but the yarn, the fiber has a lot of lavender, like red violet and blue violet in it. Oh, it's so gorgeous, and it smells so good. It is from John Arbin. I purchased it. It was part of his mill. They do an anniversary sale every June, usually around the first weekend of June. And this was their special, their open house mill special for this year. But oh my God, it's I die. I just die. I have one more skein to make. So this is spinning up in wait, hold on a minute. I realized that I couldn't really tell you what was in it because I didn't remember, but this is the tag. So 40% Swarbolts, 20% Corriedale, and 40% Exmoor Blueface. And let me just show you that lavender and red violet that I was talking about. Look at that fleece. And it smells so sheepy. I just love it. So John Arbin is in the UK. It is a mill. They sell yarn mostly, but they also sell comb top. So that's, I purchased comb top. I purchased 300 grams, thinking that I would spin a fingering weight a yarn, and that would be enough for a sweater for me. But it turned out that I'm spinning more of a sport weight. So it should still be sweater quantity. It'll end up being about 900 yards of fleece or of wool yarn for me. But I am so excited about this. This is I have to think about the most perfect project for it. The only other thing I have to talk about is I wanted to talk with you about your Rhinebeck sweaters. Are you going to Rhinebeck? Are you making a Rhinebeck sweater? So maybe that's my self-care. So I talked about this last time for Rhinebeck sweater. Andrea Mowry does a Rhinebeck sweater every year, and every year I knit the one from the year before. So I do have swatched and planned to do the Spark cardigan. But this year I thought, I really want to knit the one that's for this year instead of waiting a whole year. I mean, there is an advantage to waiting because if you wait, you can see more. You don't have the problem that I'm having with the Spots sweater from Anne Benzel. You get, the information from other knitters, and it's a little, you're not paving the path. The path has been paved for you. So there's advantages, right? But I went ahead and bit the bullet. I thought I was going to use, what did I do with the swatches? Oh, here they are. I thought I was going to use some yarn that I had on hand because, as you know, I think I talked about this a while ago, that I spent a lot of money on advents, and so that means there's a lot of yarn and fiber coming in this house in December, and I'm going to feel very overwhelmed by all of that. So I've been really working on stashing down and just knitting from my stash, and I have a couple projects planned that I'm using stash. This is stash. There's nothing new about that, and I spun stash. Other than I made that decision around like mid-June, I'd say. So I had this yarn right here in my stash. It is kind of a color changing yarn. It is from Stitch Together Studio. So you can see the way that it stripes. It's really pretty. This is her mid-coast string. So she doesn't have this all the time, but the deal with this is that I believe she dyes the fiber and then sends the fiber to be spun. And so she gets that kind of color changing effect that you can have with Spincycle yarn. So Rhinebeck sweater for this year from Andrea. She released it on Tuesday. It's called Illuminate. So I'll put a picture on here. So I thought I would use this yarn, and all I needed was, it's a sweater that uses for my size, 3 skeins of fingering weight, and then 3 skeins of mohair, because you're knitting in pattern with 2 strands of mohair held together. So I didn't swatch this. I just caked it up and sort of looked at what mohair might go with it, and I've settled on a eggplant colored purpley one that's on its way. And then I swatched. And when I swatched, I realized that this yarn is really too thin for the pattern. It's a little bit, it has some silk and bamboo in it, so it's a little bit slick and drapey. I got like, I'm not sure this is right. I'm not sure I'm gonna like this. I got like all of those anxiety pains about it, and I decided to try to swatch my dyed in the wool, scrap leftover of dyed in the wool from Spincycle, just to see the difference. And I realized that I really need to knit with a sport weight, and I don't have anything that would work. So I bit the bullet and bought some Spincycle. So that's on its way too. So I should have that soon, and maybe by my next episode I'll be able to show you some progress on that sweater. But yeah, what are you doing? I'm not even going to Rhinebeck, but I like all of the activity, and I know there's going to be some virtual options this year because of the pandemic and stuff like that. I'm not going to Rhinebeck because it's my grandbaby's birthday. She turns 1 on the Friday of Rhinebeck, so I will be in Texas for that weekend instead of being here for Rhinebeck weekend, and it's totally fine. I will miss the social pieces, but I don't need any more fiber or yarn right now, and I can just look forward to being social at Vogue Knitting Live in January. So it's all good, assuming that they're going to happen in person. Yeah, so it's all good. It's fine. I'm not that heartbroken about it. I'll probably feel worse when it gets closer, but right now I'm fine. I'm fine with it. So yeah, that is my episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you stay safe and well, and I hope you're staying cool if you're in the northern hemisphere, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, I hope you're staying warm and cozy. It's knitting weather for you. It's knitting weather for me year round, so clearly, because I just make all the things all the time. But yeah, I look forward to sharing more with you next time, and I will see you soon. Bye!